Hi, everybody. This is day 1096. 1096 days. Wow. Um, since Richard vanished from the barracks there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And what in the world is going on Fort Bliss, right? What's going on Fort Bliss? Matter of fact, I wanted to check something before I went on. Let me see if I should do it here. Um, I wanted to check about the two soldiers that went into the bar and has killed three people now. That's the last thing that I've heard is the young girl has passed away. Um, she died in ICU. That's the last thing that I heard. Um, let's see. Um, is it? Is it this one? Yeah. Let me see. I guess you have to have a. Yeah, here it is. Task and purpose. Fort Bliss soldiers accused of murder in El Paso shooting. Two Fort Bliss, Texas soldiers are accused of firing into a crowd at an El Paso, Texas nightclub parking lot. Um, and this happened August, let's see, July 17th, 2023 is so on July 13th. On July 13th, they did that. Okay, so that I believe July 13th is that still when Tom Kane was in charge of security on Fort Bliss? Are those two related? Um, or is there something bigger? There's something bigger going on. And it's hard to say that when you think about the director of security of Fort Bliss in this case, that something can be bigger than this recently, what has happened. Going into here, he is totally implicated in Richard's case. Okay, and we put in the charges today. We submitted the complaints today with Major General Eisenhower. So we'll see how Major General Eisenhower will respond to those complaints, and I'll review them a little bit with you tonight. But he's totally implicated, but he tried to go into the JAG office and give a report that there are irregularities and discrepancies in the case of the retaliation of a key witness in the Richard Halliday case. That he has information that there was not even a packet to describe, to support, to of an investigation into the retaliation of this key witness in Richard Halliday's case. That's illegal. There's no packet. They didn't follow procedures. And this is the report that he was giving in the JAG office just a few days ago. And guess what they did? They cited fear, and I guess retaliation or fear and hesitation. That's what it was. Fear and hesitation to report to Major General Eisenhower. What's Major General Eisenhower going to do if he, that's the scary thing, because I've been saying that with these 44 four-star generals and admirals that have power over the flag officers, like Major General James Eisenhower, with leaders like this, who needs enemies? Right? Who needs enemies? They are just so wicked. They commit crimes against humanity. They are not doing their duty. They do not deserve their uniforms. They do not deserve their stars. They do not deserve to wear their ribbons. They do not deserve their privileges. They do not deserve their retirement because they have betrayed our country. They have betrayed their oath. They are not defending the Constitution, the land, and the people. And they have endangered on our military installations, Fort Bliss being one of them, our most valuable assets, our volunteer sons and daughters. And this is why we have a recruiting problem right now. And this is why we have, and I'm going to read it to you, a jaw dropper, a jaw dropper. Um, I'm going to read about the colonel's health and welfare check because of these two soldiers from bulldogs that killed three people. Killed three people. And I just have to read, we have now an alliance within Fort Bliss. Team Find Richard Halliday, we have an alliance within Fort Bliss. This is a very good thing because now we're getting intel, we're getting information coming out of Fort Bliss, and it might be even better intel than Major General Eisenhower has. That's why we have to keep him informed because the JAG cites fear and hesitation to report that there are discrepancies, that there are illegalities, that there is irregularities going on, criminal crimes being prevented, that the JAG, that Fort Bliss is working outside of the rule of law, outside of law, and they hesitate to tell the general this. They hesitate to tell the commanding general of Fort Bliss this. They are fearful. What are they fearful of? What these 44 four-star generals are going to make Major General Eisenhower do? Because I can tell you this right now, they are up to no good. They have committed crimes against humanity. They are domestic enemies. They are domestic enemies because they are servicing foreign and domestic enemies. So they themselves have become the Trojan horse at the highest level. And you see that with the FBI. You see this with the agencies. We have witnessed it firsthand. Y'all, our lives are, for me to say this, I am the daughter of a senior NCO. My husband is the son of a senior NCO. My husband spent 30 years. My brother-in-law spent over 20, more than that. And both my father and my father-in-law spent over 20. My son joined the military from Korea, being raised in Germany and Ireland, being adopted from Poland. If we did not have esprit de corps in our family, if we didn't have a loyalty to the United States, he would never have done that. We have a love for our country, and therefore, we have a love to service our country, even if it's just for a few years, right? But in our family, we have made it part of our duty as being Americans. And for some way, somehow, now I never actually joined the military, but I did whatever I could to be a blessing to the military, to be a blessing, to make sure that the home front was taken care of, to volunteer all kinds of services. I was also decorated for my volunteer work. I also even clowned um, during the Gulf Wars. I put a picture up about that. So this is not about any kind of sourness or anything towards the institution. I'm talking about that others have come in like a Trojan horse. They have placed um, and promoted those that are up to no good in high level places and have polluted our military so bad that we have those in high places servicing easily betraying their oath, easily being emboldened to betray their oath, the land and the people. They have no conscience to betray the land and the people. And by doing that, our most valuable assets are volunteer sons and daughters. To use them inhumanely, to use them as fodder, to use them as just parts of a business plan. And they have become a threat so much that our JAG at Fort Bliss is afraid, cites fear and hesitation to go to the Major General there, James Eisenhower, to uh, inform him that he has the director of security for Fort Bliss making a complaint about the crime, the working outside of law, and the using retaliation as a weapon right there on Fort Bliss. That's how the operations are going. Criminal, using retaliation as a weapon, and working outside of the law. This is what he was trying to report, and yet the JAG is afraid, cites fear and hesitation. And so because of that, so many of our volunteer sons and daughters, so many people in the communities surrounding our military installations, and in this case, it would be El Paso and Juarez, Mexico. It would be Las Cruces, right? It would be Sunland Park, and on in that community. And they are in danger. They are in danger because of this, our 44 four-star generals too busy servicing foreign and domestic enemies and using our military as some kind of bank account or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. But I know they're up to no good, and I know they committed crimes against humanity. I know that for a fact. That's a fact. That's not even me saying it just as an opinion. It's a fact. And they did a lot of harm. They did a lot of harm because when the military carries out those kinds of crimes, of course, it's on the people and the land and even goes out to all the countries that we're in. Think about where all of our military installations are. We're everywhere. We're in so many places, so many countries. And so of course, it has a negative effect around the world. We're supposed to be a blessing. We're supposed to be a light on a hill. Right? We're supposed to be a blessing. I can't say that enough. And this is not what's happening. And so we have intel coming out of Fort Bliss because we have an alliance now. Because there are those that do not want to betray their country. They don't want to betray the land and the people and turn our installations against our most valuable assets, our sons and daughters, our future. They don't want to do that. And they have seen and noticed, they have even witnessed in Richard's case, the crime and our agencies working outside of the law, our installation of Fort Bliss working outside of the law. They have witnessed the retaliation against key witnesses, against Richard, against so many, against so many. We call it waterless waterboarding, to destroy their lives, to, you know, but the thing is that um, those that have a moral backbone are resilient and they're afraid of God and not of anything else. They're not afraid to tell Major General Eisenhower, you have a criminal syndicate as an installation. You have a bunch of bullies. You have, the whole installation has is is terrifying. Is terrifying, and that's why Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz was shaking. Okay, I'm not making that up. Um, that the paranormal was shaking. He was a mess. He looked like he needed to go into a spa and relax. He was a mess, a mental mess. That's why Jay Paulin couldn't come to not one of our rallies. Not one. Could not even take time to make a meeting just with us without a rally. Couldn't take time. That's why so many things have happened in this because of fear and hesitation, fear and trembling. And absolutely COVID. Do not ever forget that this was happening in 2020 and 2021. For the, it's still happening, but it was a mess, y'all. It was a mess. And it absolutely had to do with Richard's situation and case. Absolutely. The focus was not on doing your duty. That was not the focus. And it was astonishing for us. It was shocking. It was shocking going to Fort Eustis, to have a VTC meeting with Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe and crew that, yeah. um, It is so we do have this intel, and we want to be a blessing to Major General Eisenhower. We are not afraid of him. Matter of fact, we pray for him, and we want him to do the right thing. And we want him to know what is going on Fort Bliss. We want him to know. And so, with this intel, I'm going to, and I can even say the name um, from this intel, Colonel Matthew. I hope I can say this right. Adamashik. Adamashik. Um, he's a commander of the third um, BCT First AD Bulldog. Okay, I hope I'm getting that right. My husband told me, and now I forgot what he said. um, but what matters, and I'm giving his name because I want everyone to know that this is real. This is real. Okay, they are having a problem on Fort Bliss. They have a director, well, in Richard's case, the director of security of Fort Bliss, Tom Kane, that is employed. The last time I saw, he's employed at Park University also. So gives classes there on security, I'm sure. And I think he's even uh, ahead of the security for Park University. Okay. Maybe emergency response, maybe campus safety, maybe security protocols and measures, maybe investigative oversight. You know, he gives classes. And Park University is on Fort Bliss. They do have a small campus off of Fort Bliss. Um, but, you know, there are problems. There are loyalty problems. There are, I mean, he just breached his, the security of Fort Bliss, which is huge. And he is implicated in Richard's case because he controls the cameras, y'all. He controls the cameras. And and he controls the gates. I want to stay very calm in this because I'm not allowed to get frustrated when I hear about my son being chopped up, right? I'm not allowed when I hear about a multitude of people plotting together to get even with the whistleblower Richard Halliday because he won't play their criminal games and child sex games, child trafficking games, child pornography games, incestuous games, um, Vanity Fair, the Vanity Fair of it all. And, you know, I can't get upset. I have to stay, you know, that mother, she wants to know what happened to her son. How dare she want to know what happened to her son? You know, and then they'll make up whatever to try to get people's focus off of Tom Kane, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, the conflicts of interest inside of CID with Marlon Soto, with Tavita Nusa, with Ron Steeg. They want to divert your attention from First Sergeant Jay Pollan, First Sergeant Michael Ruggiero, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, Captain David Park, Captain Micah Yoshida. They want to, oh, what about Colonel the colonel in this case. Um, what about Major General Clem Coward? What about him knowing Leilani Hart? Him having a relationship with Leilani Hart? What about Tavita Nusa having an intimate relationship with Leilani Hart? What about Jay Paulin having a relationship with Ron Steig? These are all major conflicts of interest. What about the buddy system within the CID? What about Leilani Hart having a relationship with Tom Kane? What about Leilani Hart and, let's say James Hart, because they're a married couple and having a relationship there in Jag, having a long term relationship with living in El Paso and working on Fort Bliss. They have roots, they have connections. They've built a house of cards with these connections, and they are in the command, they are in the JAG, they are in the security of Fort Bliss, they are in Park University. Park University, Leilani Hart attended Park University. She caused so much trouble there that I think they banned her from even walking in, being on campus. Um, then her connections in that whole CID, her connections politically outside into El Paso with AGA USAs, with businesses, with LLCs. I mean, there is so much conflict of interest. And here comes Richard living, and I think I'm going to put up some pictures of Drumrow so people understand where he grew up, what he did, and we didn't even, yeah, I didn't even subscribe to anything on TV. He didn't have TV to hypnotize it, to hypnotize him, or all of those, teenagers doing frat parties all the time and making other teenagers that are watching these movie shows to think that that's normal, that's what you do as a teenager, is you hook up and get drunk and have these frat parties and get high and commit suicide and have an overdose and get in fights and all this stuff. That's not how Richard was raised. I didn't want to put that in front of him and let, him get hypnotized that that's normal thing. Um, so when he said mom is really bad, but the another thing too is just because he didn't continually watch those kind of things, I never censored. I told him. I told all my children, you have to govern yourself. You have to govern yourself because I'm not always going to be there. Daddy's not always there. Daddy's working, right? Daddy's deployed. You have to govern yourself and you have to glorify God every day. Like Daddy says all the time, what have you done today to glorify God? Right? And enjoy life because that is the joy of your salvation, the joy of life. And, you know, um, we love to enjoy life. Spend some money on having a party, but have a fun party, not one where you're going to rape someone and you know uh, cry because you have to lean your friend up against uh your, oh, I should check this. That was my reminder. uh You have to lean your friend up against a wall in a chair and cover them with a blanket because they died of an overdose, died of fentanyl. Okay, so let me read what this young girl dying, because five were shot, three have now died. The young girl died in ICU. It's really heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking that we have two of our most valuable assets now murderers. They're murderers, and they're in prison now because we have 44 four-star generals that are absolutely enemies, absolutely enemies, and can't run our installations with discipline and esprit de corps and Medal of Honor ethos and the Good Samaritan. I mean, what's in their brains? What's in their brains? Some Ferrari that they want, or a Lamborghini, or a gold watch, or what, children. What's in their brains? Hell, damnation, and they're polluting our entire military with that. With that. Because when you look at what happened to Richard, it is just hell. Hell. And these two young men, I don't care what their backgrounds were, when they joined the military, they were GIs. They were government issued. They were to be trained. They were to be mentored. They were to be looked after. And we give the military everything to do it. Everything to do it. Anything that they want, we give them. And they have betrayed us. And now we have two more young men sitting in prison for murder, and five families destroyed, crying their hearts out. It's bad enough to grieve my father, who, died not of a violent crime. It is absolutely horrific to grieve Richard. And I'm not even allowed. I haven't even been allowed to grieve Richard. I've barely been able to grieve my father. And now we have this young girl lost her life. Two others lost their life. Families, all of their work, their sacrifices for their loved ones, just boom, hell. And I point my finger at those 44 four-star generals and admirals, because we give them everything. We give them more than any senator or any judge or any representative or governor or whatever, because they've got our volunteer sons and daughters. They've got the weapons. They've got the ammo. They've got the funding, the funds. They've got the aircraft. They've got the ships. They've got the bombs. They've got an authority structure. They've got a military structure. And so listen to this. And it's so disheartening, because we give them everything, and they need to be fired, and we can't even fire them. I want to fire every one of those 44 four-star generals and admirals, and plus those that have retired, right? And those flag officers that could have done the right thing and they didn't because of fear and hesitation. Because of fear and hesitation, they might not get promoted. Let's let our whole country be destroyed along with other countries, but oh, God forbid if I don't get that next promotion. Um, you know, let me make sure I'm on here. Three Marines, yeah, I have to share that. Three Marines found in the vehicle dead. Someone just sent that to me or posted it. The Brandon Act. Let's see if I'm on so that, yep, I just posted it. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, so I have Intel. I can see you, Anicia. Thank you so much. Marilyn, thank you so much. Danielle, thank you so much for your prayers. So this colonel, let me make sure I get to my notes again. This colonel, Colonel Matthew Adamczyk. I hope I'm saying that right. It's Adamczyk. Adamczyk. So he's a bulldog, first AD. And they decided because of, so this happened the day after. So if that, when did this happen? July 13th. So July 14th, um, maybe this is a little, let me read it to you. On a recent night at Fort Bliss, two bulldog soldiers allegedly shot into a crowd outside a bar. So okay, so this just happened recently, and it happened before this health and welfare check that I'm about to read to you. This is our intel about the health and welfare check due to the two bulldog soldiers that are now in prison because they shot into a crowd outside a bar in East El Paso. And you know, this is the command, right? The command is like, well, the media hasn't reported yet that it's soldiers. But get ready. And you know how they're going to twist. Wait a minute. The first thing that any brief should say is 5 people have been injured, 2 are dead in this, or 5 were shot, 2 are dead, 3 now are dead. Let us take a moment of silence and pray for this horrible situation. That's the first thing. Not like concerned what the media is going to say. The media? The media was told to shut down when it came to Richard's case. Do you know that Tom Kane was told not to investigate Richard Halliday's case? He was told not to. That was something that was in our report today. If the military wants to, they can absolutely tell the media what to do. Because where are the media stories on Richard Halliday? Where are they? And it's a big story. You've got the director, the chief of security of Fort Bliss, now a witness, a key witness, that another key witness in Richard Halliday's case has been illegally retaliated against. No packet, no investigation, just retaliated against. And this director of security has access to Richard's videos and or the surveillance videos of what was going on the night that Richard went missing and I believe was murdered. And not just I believe, but that Nadal Bayim, the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, Richard's operations, right? His command, his operations, he believes, and he's with the FBI because he knows the FBI found Richard's remains in Mexico. So it's not just me. We've got the video, we've got the CCTV footage, we have got on record that he said they were looking in 5 areas, that Richard is deceased. We have 1,096 days of no contact with our son. We have, so we don't have to prove it. It's already proven. It's already there. And now we have the director of security who works at Park University for security, long history. He's in his late 60s, saying they told me not to investigate Richard Halliday. And he has connections, conflict of interest with Leilani Hart. Does he have conflict of interest with James Hart? Because of businesses? Because of LLCs? I'm telling you, we're getting intel from within Fort Bliss. And this health and welfare you might not know of, but it just recently happened. And they decided they were going to, do a health and welfare check of a company. Following the shooting, concerns arose about potentially illegal weapons storage. And this is what's very interesting in this information that we have received is that the colonel is saying that the weapons that were shot to murder these people in this bar, in this open crowd by these Fort Bliss soldiers that were bulldogs, that they are not registered. Okay, that they're illegal weapons, not registered. And, that's strange. How does he have that information? That's not information that he should have when an investigation is going on, right? He's not supposed to have that kind of information when an investigation is going on. So someone is leaking to him. Okay, I want to make that clear because that's not clear in the information that I have. So, who would have that information? Would the director of security of Fort Bliss? Now, Tom Kane is not there anymore. He needs to be called in. Because he could tell Major General Eisenhower what's going on, because just by him being implicated in Richard's case, but still having the guts, still having the backbone to walk into JAG to put in a report that there are discrepancies, that there are irregularities, that Fort Bliss is dealing outside of the law, that they are criminal, that they are retaliating against, okay, that they are doing things that are not right. We listed a few things that we know. Just that he had the guts to do that is tells me that he should be called in to Major General Eisenhower to tell him what he knows. He would tell him. He would tell him what he knows. So that's important because I'm trying to wrap my brain around what I'm just reading now that we received today. Um, so I'll give you the short bit. So they do this health and welfare, and what do they find? Okay, they find a total of 79 weapons in the barracks and in the vehicles. Okay, so they searched the barracks and the vehicles. They found 79. Now, this is also interesting because he offered them immunity. Okay, if they would just, during the health and welfare, there was, an announcement. If you give us your hand over your weapons right now, we're going to give you immunity. Okay, so that will be part of this little bullet list that I created. So there was a total of 79 weapons, 41 weapons in total. Okay, let's see. How many legal weapons recovered? 79. 41 weapons found in total. 34 weapons discovered in barracks. 7 weapons found in privately owned vehicles. 26 out of the 41 weapons were firearms. The remaining were tasers, knives, swords, machetes, and airsoft guns. There were 23 incidents of live ammunition, 17 incidences of live ammunition found in the barracks, 6 incidences of live ammunition found in privately owned vehicles. There were illegal drugs, 7 incidences of illegal drugs and other contraband found, 3 incidences of combat load vest dunnage. Someone could explain that to me. 5 additional surprising discoveries. Okay, and they just named 3. 2 dogs and 1 python. The python was dead. So they did a health and welfare and found 79. The thing is, and I'm trying to work through this, is that every weapon is illegal, right? If it's in the barracks. So how many of these were registered? How many were not registered? And that's a big deal. The thing that aggravated me, I shouldn't say aggravate, it's so sad. It's all so sad because it all goes to the 44 4-star generals, you see. Because even the Secretary of the Army, none of them have the power like a general, like a 4-star general does. I don't even think a judge, judges are very, very powerful, okay? They're very powerful. But a general has an army behind them. They have a navy behind them. They have an air force behind them. It's, what good is any of those others without the military behind them? Right? That's why we have this incredibly expensive military. So it's so sad because I have been saying that when we were in El Paso, one of the very first things that Brigadier General David Stewart informed us about is that when he arrived, the barracks were flush with weapons. I've been saying that for a long time. Flush with weapons. What, 2.5 years? Maybe more than that. I've been saying the barracks were flush with weapons. Now, the one thing in this report, this brief, is, why would soldiers want weapons in the barracks? Why would they feel the need to have loaded weapons in their vehicles? Well, because they have 44 four-star generals and admirals that they can't trust, that are enemies. I mean, they're getting raped, they're getting groomed, they're getting trained for suicide, they're getting robbed. They're having to be submitted to frat parties every day and being targeted for drug salesmen. The barracks itself is a marketplace for illegal drugs. They're they're getting pressured into going along with the criminal syndicate and everything that that entails. And God's children are not for sale. So if how could this colonel not know why our volunteer sons and daughters feel it necessary to have a weapon beside them, especially in the barracks where they do these checks? Because in this brief, let's see if I can find it real quick. It says, they talk about how the NCOs are not doing their job. I'm trying to read it. The inspections, the amnesty that they got. Let's see. Anyway, it says that they're just checking a box. They're not doing the inspections. There's no discipline. There's no esprit de corps. There's no Medal of Honor ethos. There's no Good Samaritan. There is no army of one. Be all you can be. They're not. They have betrayed us. That only could come from the 44 four-star generals for the NCOs to get away with being so lax. And for a colonel to care about the media more than the families of the perpetrators and the victims, because even these are young, their families are destroyed. Their sons are now murderers. You think that makes them happy? When are we going to hold these leaders, so-called, with all the stars and with all their little, oh, you're so wonderful. Here's another ribbon. Oh, you're so wonderful, sir. Oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, look, we have a big bad army. Of course, they're getting suicided. They're becoming murderers. They're getting raped. When are we going to hold these stars, these 4 stars, with all their ribbons, accountable for the mess that they have created? The betrayal of our country and their duty. Because it became very clear to us that, look at Lieutenant General Donna Martin is IG right now. She's in charge of, she is the first female general, inspector general. She's the first inspector general that's a female. And look, it doesn't even work. Where is she? Is she too busy creating another staged task force so she can put a chair in the middle and wear her civilian clothing and sit like an Indian in the middle of everybody and go, oh, let me hear, whatever? No. We don't need that. It has become very clear to us. Where is where are these 44? We're so top heavy. Where are they? Where is Bernabe? Huh? Where was he? He was lockstepping to committing crimes against humanity and lying to us. Lying to us, not telling us that our son was a whistleblower, not helping us get the CPS complaints, not telling us what the CID complaints is, not telling us that, hey, the director of security, Tom Kane, knows Lolani Hart, but I'm going to get to the bottom of this. No, it Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe that ordered Tom Kane not to investigate Richard Halliday's case, not to hand over the CCTV footage. And listen to this, y'all. So we wrote him the beginning of June. We wrote Tom Kane in the beginning of June to have an open records request. An open records request. He now is on record with a witness saying that he intentionally did not respond to us. Intentionally. That's a federal crime. That's a federal crime that now, because of the culture, and I'm not making excuses for him, okay? But I'm telling you that the pressures, society, there are spheres of government, okay? Spheres of government. We have, the legal government, the judges, the 10 commandments. We have that kind of government. But we also have our school government, our work government, our family government, our church government, our personal government, our personal friends and everything, our society, our social government. And they persuade us to do things, or they restrain us from doing things, or they encourage us to do things. And this is a psychological operation led by 44 four-star generals that are up to no good to mess with our thinking, our judgments, our morality. And if they're going to betray, then, Tom Kane says, oh, well, okay, I don't have to be loyal either. I don't have to be loyal with my family. I don't have to be loyal with my country. I don't have to be loyal to Fort Bliss. I don't have to be loyal to El Paso. I don't have to be loyal to Park University. I don't have to be loyal. I don't have to be loyal to a young soldier, Richard Halliday. I don't have to be. Because that's the message that I'm getting. And 2 young soldiers go to bars and have no discipline. Now, they're not just normal civilians. They're bulldogs. They are trained bulldogs. Thousands of dollars into training a bulldog. And they have no discipline. How do we fire these leaders? How do we fire them? Okay, everyone. I think there's so much more. I put up one more thing after reading this. I put up the Magnificat, which is St. Luke 1:46. O my soul doth magnify the Lord, and my spirit hath rejoiced in God my Saviour. For he hath regarded the lowliness of his handmaiden. For behold, from henceforth all generations shall call me blessed. For he that is mighty hath magnified me, and holy is his name, and his mercy is on them that fear him throughout all generations. He hath showed strength with his arm. He hath scattered the proud in the imagination of their hearts. He hath put down the mighty from their seat, and hath exalted the humble and meek. He hath filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he hath set empty away. He has sent them empty away. And he, remembering his mercy, hath holpen his servant Israel, as he promised to his forefathers, Abraham and his seed forever. Amen. Forever and ever. Amen. I put that up there because how do you read this and see one day after the next lives being destroyed by our 44 four-star generals and admirals, that this whole thing with Hunter Biden, okay, it could go away if we had a beautiful, disciplined military. And I'm not saying that I think it should be like, utopia perfect, right? But this is out of hand. Out of hand. We all fall short, but these are enemies. These are enemies. These 44 four-star generals, and some of them are retired now, they are enemies. And with leaders like this, who needs enemies? Because they are the enemy. And lives, how long, Lord? How long do lives have to be destroyed and destroyed and destroyed, and our installations destroyed and destroyed? Just because they want to spend a lot of money renaming Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos, and all these other Fort Liberty and all that, just because they want to rename it, they're just putting lipstick on a pig, okay? And our soldiers, our service members, will not stop arming themselves when they feel in danger. And right now, in the barracks, they feel in danger. In the military, they feel in danger. You have swords, you have machetes, you have dogs. You have dog. Let me bring I need an alarm. I need a dog to save me from the nights where they want to come in and rape or beat me or haze me or whatever, because I'm not safe in the barracks. Okay, thank you so much, Donna, for coming on. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And please share. Um, we also told Major General Eisenhower today, because we're having to inform him, because we're having to be transparent. They should be informing us that Tom Kane intentionally did not answer our open records request that we sent him at the beginning of June is a federal crime. And when I run Google to see what the command should be doing, what CID should be doing, what FBI should be doing, what the DA should be doing, what the AG should be doing, one of the things is to protect the family, to contact and be in constant communication with the family. And that's not what's happening. and we let him know that. We address the camera issues and other criminal issues on Fort Bliss that were, yeah, how can you argue against the director of security of Fort Bliss? Okay. So, these are not our Team Find Richard Halliday. I guess they're, our alliance within Fort Bliss now. I should call them the Team Find Richard Halliday Fort Bliss, right? So thank you so much. God bless you for that. God bless you for that. We need that alliance. We need our son. We yeah. Okay, everyone. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Things are really being exposed. They're really being exposed. Thank you